strong. She should have gone north then. The monster hunters there are just their puppets, he added. After this litany of charging monsters, Lizard couldn't hold back and offered to kill him if he was so desperate to die. But Tisu stopped him because, according to this, he'll set him free, so Lizard's tail should let him suffer like that. After hearing it, Lizard's tail reluctantly kept silent. Tisu continued to question the second captive monster, but just like the first monster, he didn't like its answer, so he also beheaded it. This time, in the third monster, they got an answer that Tisu-san wanted to hear. The road is for Beelzebub, it said. When Tisu heard this, he couldn't believe it and mentioned the word Beel. Beelzebub, or Beelzebul, is a name derived from a Philistine god formerly worshipped in Ekron and later adopted by some Abrahamic religions as a major demon. Indeed, Beelzebub, also called Baalzebub in the Bible, is the prince of the devils. A few seconds, the charging monster spoke again. But less than a second later, it stopped immediately because of the blood that appeared to be a cloth covering its mouth. After this, Tisu continued to speak again. He said that the last captive monster should be comfortable because the limbs and arms of the monster in charge of them had been cut off. But if he still doubted, he permitted him to kill him. After a few seconds of silence, he summoned the courage to speak. According to him, there's a road leading to the northern boundary underground. After saying this, Tisu next found out about its entrance. Here he says that they need to untie him because the devil's ring is needed to open it. He added that when he opened the door, they had to let him go alive, just like they promised. Tisu immediately agreed to him but gave a warning that if he did anything mischievous, he would do what he did to charge their monster. The monster then seriously replied that they just kept their promise and wouldn't be able to get out alive if they passed through others. This time the monster charged again, saying such words, and his fellow monster finished him off, and said, if he wishes to die, then die, and he'll live. This time the monster willingly walked up to Clift and stuck out its spandrel-shaped hand. After he performed this, immediately, the cliff cut into two and formed a way to the door opened in front of them. After the entrance opened, Tisu allowed the monster to leave as promised. But the chance was that it was not allowed to live because, right when it came out, the right time was the arrival of the rescue teams. A few moments later, it was immediately killed by the rescue team that arrived. Here they caught up with Tisu and reported that their rescue was over. He asked where the support was, but he responded quickly that they were the only ones providing support. The people who came to support them were also put into the rescue job as they could not figure out the number of victims. This time, he did nothing and decided to give them a mission. In a wide room, a shadow of a monster can be seen in front of a throne, on which another monster is called Nava. Here, the two can be heard talking about the chaos that is taking place. It informs Nava that the cliff door has opened, and there appears to be a problem. Here a question formed in Nava's mind and clarified her thought. She asked if the monster hunters had reached where they were now. The monster standing in front of her immediately agreed. Navel came to the conclusion that, in that case, the monster hunters would come right away to their territory because they had found it. After a while, she immediately ordered them to prepare. They needed to resolve the issue before Ball found out. When the monster turned away from Nava, he indicated that he would return to their territory without any damage. After he said this litany, a swift force struck his neck. Nava unleashed force because she didn't like what the monster had said. In fact, Nava said that this time he gets to say these useless words casually. The monster's head was cut off, but it still managed to apologize to Nava. A small smile can be seen on her lips while she reminds the predators not to turn back before hunting. And they have released the last litany, saying to prepare to hunt each of them. When the monster hunters went down the stairs from the entrance, they were amazed by the size of the place. On the other hand, the rescue teams mentioned that they had not yet identified themselves. The gray-haired man introduced himself as Wood. The bald man introduced himself as Jinwon, and the woman with them introduced herself as Belle. While doing his stretching, Tisun asked them about their abilities. They immediately replied that they had no specific ability because they were called the Chosen Ones. When Lizard's Tail heard this, he was amazed, despite his lack of knowledge. Chenwu immediately explained this and said the Chosen One could borrow divine power. However, the great god is helping countless people, so he doesn't want to be possessed by one person. That's why they can't use a specific divine power. Instead, they can exert God's power without being possessed, and their divine power approaches the 10th level faster than anyone else's. After Chenwu says this, Wood immediately agrees and says they can all exert divine power at the 6th or 7th level. After Lizard's Tail heard this, his emotions poured out, and he said that this was cheating because they needed to hold back the pain for possession, whereas the Chosen One could use
Give me mages! Give me mages! Oh, not these orcs!
divine power without being possessed. In other words, they are the opposite of incomplete possession. At the same time, Teeson gave instructions, according to which Chenwu is the leader and the Guardian Division is in charge. After this, they immediately took action. While moving, Sayal and Himo had a conversation. Himo asked if he was nervous, and Sayal immediately replied that he didn't know because he hadn't felt it in a long time. In their action, they were stopped because of the noise they heard. A few moments after stopping, the wall on the other side was suddenly broken, and it spat out many monsters eager to kill them. This time, everyone used their own abilities to fight. After a while, they were able to take down some of the monsters, but according to Teeson, he didn't think it was over yet. The monsters they fight are preventatively awakened monsters, so they will have a hard time here because their stamina may be depleted. The awakened monster can make or strengthen their weapons using their Devil's Ring. According to Teeson, they can run out of energy, but they must hold it together to survive. They need to move forward as much as they can, he added. But a few moments later, Lizard suddenly rushed, and Teeson was shocked and angrily questioned Chenwu why his student was running away. Here, Chenwu's only action was to say sorry because of Teeson's scary aura. According to him, he also didn't expect what his student did. A few moments later, Teeson ordered his platoon to defeat the monsters. During Lizard's fight, Chenwu can be seen looking at him and praising him in his mind, saying he did a great job because he has been holding divine power longer. They continued to fight until Lizard was confronted by a monster that resembled the monster that had grabbed him before. Here, he asked the monster if it was his relative. He added that its name is Vengeance, and the monster immediately reacted because it could not believe that it could kill a monster that had a name, because monsters with names are considered high-ranking. Little did this monster know that Lizard was the only one who gave it that name. During his fight with the monster, an observing monster saw that the lizard was a regenerative body, so he immediately reported it to Nava. When the witness reports the monster to Nava, she is happy and can't believe that a regenerative body has appeared. According to her, it will be a wonderful gift to Baal. She immediately ordered the monster named Hiru to prepare the gift and repay the monster hunters. The constable responded immediately. Here the evil of Nava's conscience settled, and she said, "I wish they would like it." On the other side, you can see the monster hunters who have finished fighting. After a few moments of waiting, they had the pleasure of resting first. But before moving, they suddenly saw something on the other side of their direction. This time, Teeson's face was visibly angry at what he had witnessed. Teesu stared angrily at the monster exposed in front of them, not because it was a monster but because of what it was carrying. What they're seeing right now is a four-armed monster. In addition to its two hands, it has two other large hands on its opposite side, where a net full of human arms can be seen. The monster hunters couldn't hold back anymore from what they were seeing. Himo stepped forward and tried to move, but Teesu stopped him. He calmed Himo and told her to be patient and stay still. This time Teesu asked the monster where it came from, but the monster replied as if it was having so much fun. It said, with a grin on its face, that he had great fun collecting those arms. It added that nothing will be left to them when they don't hurry up. Indeed, at this moment, the pent-up flame inside them has exploded. A while ago, it was Teesu who stopped his companions from making a move, but this time he was the one who couldn't hold it back anymore and used his ability on the monster. Its blood spilled, and in an instant, it took its life. In the next few seconds, Rang Teesu gave a command to Sayal, ordering him to mobilize his blood. Sayal accepted the command wholeheartedly and uttered the term 5th level possession. Here it can be seen that his hand has changed its form. It had what looked like little branches growing on its skin. After a few seconds, he immediately let the blood flow into his hands and mixed it with the blood of the monsters. This time, he was able to control the blood of the monsters that were present in that place. Teesu said their destination doesn't just end at the very end of the road. He immediately told Teesu that he needed to find a hidden place somewhere nearby using his abilities. With enough blood that he got from the large numbers of monsters in that place, he managed to search every place after several times of searching until he finally found a deep spot. After seeing the deep spot, he immediately told Teesu that he had found one. Teesu immediately told him to focus and dig that way. Little did they know that this was the location where Nava's throne was. When Sayal's blood entered, he was also surprised by the monsters that were currently in that area. At first, they wondered what that red thing was, but they immediately informed Nava what was happening. But Nava was no longer surprised by what he witnessed. They didn't bother to make a move and let the monster hunters get there. On behalf of the monster hunter, Sayal immediately informed him that his blood could not go any further. Here, Sayal was ordered to tail off his ability and mark the way with his blood. Sayal immediately objected because, according to him, that was too far. If he did it, the monsters might erase the marks. Teesu immediately answered this complacently, saying it wouldn't happen because the monster even provoked them to go in. The school didn't object anymore and did what had to be done. Here, he collected the blood in the middle and sprinkled it. This time, Tisu wholeheartedly commanded his team to follow the bloodstains, and if the monsters do any tricks, kill them. In the place where Nava is, they can be seen waiting for the monster hunters to arrive. When the monster hunters arrived in an instant, they made a way through which they made a triangle-shaped door in the earthen wall that acts as a barrier between them. In the opening of Monster Hunters, he also exposed the appearance of two powerful monsters. First, here is Nava and the one standing next to his throne, Hiru. This time, Nava quickly removed the meme. After a few seconds, Tisu spoke and asked if he was the asshole. Nava. On the other hand, Lizard's tail can be seen wondering at the two monsters. It asks the adjacent monster who is that asshole who treats these monsters with a sort of dignitary grace. The monster immediately responded with a warning, and Lizard's tail immediately killed it. This time there was an exchange of words between Nava and Tisu, and as expected, Nava did not like the young soldiers, especially the confident expressions on their faces. After a while, the big door opened, and it spat out many captive people. They can hear the talk about the monster hunters. The expressions of the monster hunters, especially Tisu and Chenwu, became gloomy. Nava was happy with what she witnessed. A few moments later, the smiling Nava gave orders to the many monsters before them. It ordered them to start eating people. This time, the monsters immediately rushed to eat the people, but the monster hunters immediately protected them. This time Nava is complacent, knowing that in the end, everything will be in her grasp, and the strongest will be the first to disappear. Tisu immediately blew up the head of the monster that tried to attack the captive humans. Here, you can see their terrified faces. This time Tisu thought that, according to this, he still needed time to blow up the heads of the monsters. Here he gave Sayal a command to secure the people and buy him some time. While fighting the monster, Tisu replied that he couldn't do it because he had used too much blood to search for directions. Here, Tisu was asked what he should do. There were signs on his face that he was having difficulty thinking about what to do. Here Nava spoke. According to this, he is thinking carefully and has not yet thought of how to escape. When Tisu heard this, his teeth gritted with anger and tension. A few seconds later, he yelled at Chenwu, saying that their top priority was to save the people, so he gave Chenwu the command to make way for them. When Chenwu heard this, he immediately shouted the word Semjido. The anger and determination in his actions can be seen in his eyes. Here he dodged the weapon horizontally and split a large number of monsters in the image, and at the same time as the body was split in the image, there was a long way out from where they were. Here Tisu shouted and told the humans to hurry up and run towards the road that was made. After hearing this, doubts can be seen on their faces. According to these, what if they die if they run there? What if monsters kill them? Himo immediately replied and
I'm Captain Jack Sparrow.
told them to trust them because they would protect them from the monsters. Here they thought, and they united in trusting the monster hunters. A few moments later, they started running. Despite the fear, they did their best to run fast. At this time, Tison immediately gave command to his platoon. Here he assigned Chenwu to lead the people at the forefront. It also ordered the Guardian Division to follow Chenwu to rescue the people. Finally, it said that those left will be charged with the two monsters who have not yet done their actions. Tison refers to Nava and Hiru. According to this, they cannot ignore them, especially since they do not know the danger that they possess. But according to this, first, everyone should focus and reduce the number of monsters. They immediately responded and continued fighting. As they fought, Nava spoke again while sitting on his throne. Here he laughed and said that he was sure the monster hunters chose the strongest hunter among them to rescue humans. In addition to this, their team has lost strength because of their pathetic sense of mission. After a few moments, he told Hiru that it was time. Hiru immediately responded to this. On the other hand, Lizard's tail can be seen as someone fond of killing monsters. Here he was called by a fellow monster hunter, but Hiru started here simultaneously. According to this, they went to another place called Lizard's Tail, a regenerative body. Here, Lizard's Tail was surprised because of the speed of action taken by Hiru. Instantly, it punched the Lizard's Tail with such strength that it fell to a distant part. Hemp witnessed this and immediately shouted about the event to Tisu. This time, so many thoughts flowed through his mind. It thought and asked itself if the aim of these was the regenerative body or if this action was because they wanted to divide the strength of their group. He was about to drown in his thoughts when Himo purposely made a noise with his weapon that woke up Tisu's spirit. Himo said that Tisu should stop thinking too much about this. Sayal added that they would take care of the affairs here, and he went to help the stupid Lizard's Tail. After this, Tisu acted quickly. Simultaneously, he asked for forgiveness and told the two to be careful. Nava smiled at the sight. According to this, the monster hunters always aim to save the people, but they have lost their strong team members. He says not much is left for him to have fun with. At the same time, he stood on his throne and walked toward Himo and Sayal. Nava's smiling and confident face can be seen here. Despite this, seriousness can be seen in Himo and Sayal. Himo says she'll take care of her as long as Sayal supports her. Sayal immediately agreed to this. Now Lizard's Tail can be seen fighting with Hiru. When Hiru started to attack him, he immediately blocked it with his arms. Here, Hiru was amazed because he blocked his attack. He called Lizard's Tail a regenerative body, but Sir Lizard's Tail immediately reacted and said his name was Tail. Hiru immediately replied that he was not interested in human names that anyone could get. In addition, we do not know how he lives this kind of life. After a few moments, Hiru's face immediately became confused because of what he saw. At that moment, Tisu arrived. When it arrived, he immediately said he wanted to finish it quickly. His gnarled hand was positioned, ready to blow Hiru's head off, but as he executed his attack, it didn't hit Hiru. According to this, Tisun's trick would have worked on him if he hadn't moved. Here, Hiru already knows how Tisu's ability works. Its attack begins with a headache. After that, it unleashes an attack that has no form and causes the heads of those who fight it to explode. After explaining how Tisu's attack works, it says that Tisu's attack is destructive but not enough to destroy his horn. For a few moments, Hiru held onto his devil's ring and absorbed it into his body. Here, Tisu saw the second awakening and concluded that it was a monster with a name. At the same time, Hiru introduced himself to their Halwa, and casually said that he would kill Tisu and take the regenerative body. On the other hand, Lizard's Tail got curious about the second awakening and asked if it was stronger than Hiru. Tisu immediately replied that he was only as strong as Chenwu. He needed time to raise his level. He needs time to reach the higher possession level of Duoxuni. Here, Lizard's Tail immediately asked what he had to do. Tisu immediately answered and gave his command. According to this, while raising his level, he's incapable of fighting, so don't whine, Sir Lizard's Tail, and protect him well. After hearing Tisu's litany, Lizard's Tail immediately increased his power. With a smile and confidence, Lizard's Tail told Tisu to take his time because he would fight this black tattooed monster. Tisu immediately reminded him to be careful because the second awakened monster differed from the ordinary monster. Lizard's Tail immediately responded with full self-confidence and told Tisu not to worry because he would kill Ito. At the same time, Tisu started to increase his possession level. Along with this is Hiru's extremely fast action, which Lizard's Tail couldn't keep up with. Here, Hiru said that it is better to eliminate the possible risks. At the same time as he swung his sword in Tisu's direction, Lizard's Tail also swung his weapon to block the attack. But that's just the speed of the event of seeing even. He blocked it but still hit Tisun's innocent body. When Hiru dodged his weapon, it hit Tisu's entire left arm. Here, Tisu did nothing but apologize. Here he apologized and said he didn't know it was that fast. At this moment, Lizard's Tail promised the group members who are currently doomed that he would improve. After a while, you can see the healing of Tisu's shoulder. Lizard's Tail did not immediately notice this. If Lizard's Tail didn't notice it, Hiru would be the one who would be upset. Here, I was very surprised by what I saw. At first, he thought Lizard's Tail was the only one with a regenerative body, but the embryo was too big because the regenerative body turned out to be two persons. Here, the joy and excitement that Hiru feels on these times are very visible. According to him, he has to hurry and finish this. Despite its confident face and litany, Lizard's Tail did not agree with it. The determination can be seen on his face, and he says he won't allow it. What will be the fate of the two regenerative bodies? Will the monsters get hold of them, or will they defeat them? And that's how the first part of this man ends. Well guys, if you like